All right, guys. Now we're going to get into the reporting side of the website conversion ads. This is going to be basically the same thing as the PPE and the click to website, but we're focusing on the cost per conversion here. We're not as focused on the cost per engagement or the click to website cost. It's really about how much it cost us to convert. You know, if the click to website cost was $10, but I was converting every visitor, you know, the click to website cost doesn't really make much difference to me, right? I'm focused on the conversion cost here. So let's talk a bit about it. Reporting and monitoring is what we're going to be covering here today. We're going to have wide open ads, which you do it on the back end. You look at the results of a traffic test. So you're going to run an ad to that core demographic that we identified, and then we're going to take that into account and see which ones are winning there. And I'll show you an example of that here in a second. And then versus the wide open modified, guys, I run wide open modified more often than I don't. The reason is because I sell into very large demographics, right? So, or very large niches. So 1,000,000+ people, I'm always doing a wide open modified type ad. So that's going to be a lot of front end killing the ads that don't convert and then scaling up the ones that do. And we'll show examples of both of here in a second. So the most important thing is to know your numbers. And there's a slightly different cost that we have to take into account when we are talking about having your own store. When you're running, say, Teespring ads, you don't have to take the cost of the product and the shipping into account. What you do have to take into account in the physical product world when you're doing your own Shopify is how much it costs to get your item delivered to your customer. So that's what we want to talk about today. So you have your sale price minus your delivered price, which means the cost of your item and basically what it costs to get them there. So that could be the shipping if you're drop shipping, but if you have a fulfillment house like I do, you're going to have to take into account that cost as well. And we'll talk later about fulfillment and forecasting in a later video that will help you, basically know when it's cost effective for you to go into forecasting mode and having a fulfillment house take care of the needs for you instead of drop shipping everything, which is a big headache. So sale price minus delivered price will give you your initial margin, right? That's the profit per item that you could have if you had no further costs. But we're all paid traffic marketers here. So the initial margin minus the ad cost is your profit. So the ad cost is a variable though, right? I mean, a lot of these things are variable, but once you get them set in stone, your sale price is going to be fixed. Your deliver price is going to be fixed. It's the ad cost that's variable and the one that we really have to monitor. So when we're running ads after buying data, right? We bought our data and now we're running traffic. We're looking to convert initially at about half or under the initial margin. So this gives us room to scale. So let's take this for an example. If I'm selling a necklace for $10, my cost is $2 to get it delivered to the customer. The initial margin is $8 per item, right? If I had no other costs, I could make $8 per item. But we have ad costs. So when I'm done buying data, I want to convert for $4 or less when I'm running, the base ads. So I bought my data. Now I'm scaling out into the winning demographics. I'm looking to convert at the $5 or $10 ads that I'm running at $4 or less. The lower the better, obviously, but that's the initial margin in this case, the conversion cost in this case, that I want to be hitting. The reason is that I need room to scale up. So if I'm say converting at $6 right away, there's not a lot of room for me to scale. So I'm going to run into trouble when I turn those ads up, and I probably even wouldn't turn those ads up. So when buying data, we can convert, in this case, at $8, which is that initial margin. I'm willing to spend $8 on a wide open ad for conversion cost to get a couple conversions and maybe 10, 20 conversions at the initial margin per conversion to make sure that I know who's going to be buying. Then I refine my ad and drive traffic to the winners and then bring that conversion cost way down. So it's okay to break even for a little bit, as long as we're getting some valuable data out of it. So let's go over the shoulder right quick and make sure that we have examples of this to make sure that you know what's going on. So this is this example, this is a wide open ad, right? It's actually 45 to 54. I don't run a lot of wide open ads, but this is a perfect example of what I'm going to be doing, in the wide open ad. There's just going to be more of what I'm about to show you. So you can see I have about 1,500 spent on this campaign. Don't get overexcited about the conversions. Since I'm tracking everything here, that is what my checkouts look like. I actually have 532 checkouts. We had a ton of add to carts. This was a free plus shipping offer that we had. So 2,300 add to carts, and about a fourth of those guys came and bought the item in 532. So 532, we were selling this for $9.95 shipping and handling. That's 5,200, about 5,300 in revenue. You could see that it did cost me 1,500 to get that 5,300 in revenue, right? But if on face value people get, oh, that's a fantastic ad, right? Well, it did cost me about $2 to get that item to the customer. So it's really, $7 times 532, which is $3,724. So 3,724 is that initial margin. So I have to then take 3,724 and minus the ad spend here. So the real profit for me on this ad set was $2,100, just shy of $2,200. So it goes from, $5,300 in revenue down to $2,187 in profit. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So let's walk through it again. So I had $1,500 in ad spend, but we're not going to take that into consideration real quick. What I'm going to do is it was a $10 item, essentially. Cost me $2 to get it to the customer. It cost me about $3 to get it to the customer. So my profit per item was $7. So 7 times the 532 checkouts is 3,724. 3,724 minus 1,537 is 2,187 in profit. See, on face value, you could get overly excited about this ad. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't like making 2,187, but that's a big difference than the 5,300 if you just look at it at face value. So sometimes on other ads, this could get you in trouble, right? This is also why we pay so close attention to the real initial margin and not pay attention to the $9.95, right? I could sit here and go, oh, $9.95 times 532, beautiful. I'm making tons of money. But if I don't subtract all those other costs, I'm not really looking at the profit so far. I'm not really looking at the ad results. And sometimes that can get you into a lot of trouble. So here is the 45 to 54. So what I would want to do now is look at performance and clicks, right? And this is going to get you basically an idea of the link click. We're making sure that people are clicking. This is a website conversion photo ad. So, initially I am paying attention. Hey, am I getting a decent amount of link clicks? Because are people actually going to the website? So it is happening, but you basically know that from the conversions. I just pay attention to it at a top level. So what you can do now is go customize your columns and type in checkout up here and hit conversion pixel checkouts and conversion pixel cost per checkout. That's going to help you take a look at it, and you got to scroll over a little bit. That's going to help you look at the actual cost per conversion, right? Which is $289, and the checkouts were $532. So a lot of people look at this and a lot of people will look at this and go, wow, Matt's getting almost 3,000 checkouts with a 53 cent cost per conversion. But what we're doing right now is tracking a bunch of information. So we're building up that information in the add to cart. We're building up the information in the key web page views, which they weren't firing properly here. but you can see how many add to cart pixel fires we had. And that is really crucial for the next stage that we have in the maturity stage, where we're going to utilize video and we're going to utilize the different types of checkout pixels that we have. So take that as a side note. Yes, it's really cool to see that many conversions, but it's not real true checkouts here, and that's on purpose. So our checkouts at 532, and we have a really good cost per conversion here. So if we want to break this down and get to the specific ages, it's pretty simple, and it's exactly like we were doing in the PPE ads and the click to website ads. We hit the breakdown and we go to age and gender. We look at the demographics that are winning. So in this case, we had done a wide open modified ad for this niche. I tend to do a wide open modified because I'm always in niches that have million plus people. In this instance, 8 million, and some even bigger. My biggest niche is 70 million. So I don't honestly want to bother with a wide open ad because it just takes too much time, right? I'm going to have to really properly buy that much data. I'm going to have to spend a lot of money. Or I could just do it in a wide open modified and have it all there for me in a much faster rate. So age and gender here, if I pop this open, you can see I only have, this is a 45 to 54, and this is a 55 to 64. All the traffic was in this bracket. And I'm not entirely sure how this guy's even got any reach, but you can see that this one dominated. And if I was reviewing these on a wide open, I would have each age demographic. And if, say, this one was the winner, I would then create a ad specifically within the same campaign in a new ad set targeting the 45 to 54. I'm doing it in the same campaign because a lot of information is stored at the campaign level as well as the pixel. So you want to remain in the same campaign as much as possible, right? Because that's going to give you a great optimization. So that's what we would do for this. You can also take a review of the placement. So the placement here, this was a mobile ad, so you only have one placement, but the placement would have the mobile device here and the desktop, and if right-hand side if you had that as well. And then you would review which one is the winner and separate out as well. You'll tend to have one platform and a wide open ad sucking up the majority of the traffic. And that's the one you're going to want to really focus on, but test the other one on a lower scale, say $5 instead of $10 as well, just to make sure in those winning demographics that you can get some traffic to them to see if it's converting as well. The thing that I've noticed is that really the age bracket's going to drive your converters, right? So if you have 45 to 54 mobile, there's a good chance on a lower scale, desktop may work as well. So you want to make sure that you're testing out the age bracket on as many platforms and positions as possible. So the newsfeed on mobile, newsfeed on desktop, and right-hand side too, if you really want to slam it home. So that's what you would do for the wide open. Now for the wide open modified, you can see I have one here that we drove a ton of traffic to, and we got massive results. You can see we almost reached 1 million people for this necklace, where this isn't the only campaign going for this necklace, right? We were reaching tons and tons of people here. We spent about $9,500, and we had, it says 45,000 conversions here, but that's everything taken in consideration. But we can look at a couple of these brackets here. This is a 54 to 54 age ad on mobile only. The reason for this ad is I was doing separations by every few years, and then 54 was the top of the bracket, and it just kind of it didn't want to do a 55 to 64 or 45 to 64. This was the last one here for us. So that ended up being the number one converter for us, though. You can see that we had 2,400 conversions in checkouts for $2,800. So that's a lot of money that was coming in the door. I was able to scale this to $90 a day, which, like I said before, that is a rarity for me these days. It's most about scaling out, but this one was just converting and converting and converting and converting. The reason that this one slowed down is because of the reach. So in that age bracket, I believe there was only about 200,000 people to 250,000 people, like I like it, in a single age, by the way. But it reached a lot of that demographic, and we slowed down. It wasn't spending any money per day, and it wasn't that it wasn't converting. It was just the campaign itself was dying down, as you can see on this graph. So it was really just kind of taking it slow down, and then we ended up killing it, the whole campaign in general, once we figured that we had reached the majority of people. Like I said, 1 million people were reached in this campaign alone. So you have the 25 to 34, the 35 to 44. I did this all on the front end, right? So I was splitting everything out on the front end, created all these on the age brackets and the platform. So I did desktop and mobile to really try to figure out who were the winners. And it turned out majority of everything was converting. So we ended up making some single ages here as well. And they did okay, but we ended up testing this out, that single age out in a different campaign. And the reason that we did that is we were still trying to figure out, do we store it in the same campaign or do we store it in a different campaign? We ended up doing it for this necklace in a different campaign, but I would recommend storing as much as possible within the same campaign is what we're looking at now. So you can see that we had tons of traffic going to these guys. The conversions were great. This necklace did very, very well for us. And it did very well for us. That's all I can say. So we ended up killing it because it wasn't reaching as many people. You'll see in the maturity stage that we did take some steps towards the slowdown period of this. You can see how we were ramping up. And here's a little bit of a spike. This spike right here was during some of the maturity stage, because we had a spike. We got a little bit more out of it and we spiked it. And these are just kind of splitting outs. I think we're bringing in some more revenue for a little bit, or just good days. But these two spikes right here were because of the maturity stage that we were seeing. You can see this trend. This was the trend that I'm looking for as okay, we need to take some action here, and we're hitting the maturity stage. Boom, we're getting a little bit more revenue. Boom, we're going to get this much more out of this necklace because of the maturity stage and the steps that we're going to be taking in there. Guys, this is a massive amount of revenue that we brought in where we otherwise might have killed it. And that's really where this is going to get important. I want you to take into consideration is that we're scaling this entire time, and the steps that we take in the maturity stage are what's helping us drive more revenue and more profit for our business. And this necklace grossed about $100,000 when we were done with it. And this would have been a much smaller necklace in terms of revenue if I had not taken the steps in the maturity stage. So this is what I want you to drive home for. I review these ads, making sure that we're taking in consideration our costs and our true profit. We did very well here. These ads were scaled up. I was testing basically, we go from 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20 or 25, just kind of walking our way up because we're not necessarily focused on scaling that budget to the moon. You can see how long this ran, and I only made it to $90. We're really focused on making sure we're hitting as many people in the winning demographics as possible. So we created a wide open modified, and we actually went down to the age level to really hit everybody as much as possible on a slow amount of spend, $5 to $10. This is what you do to get great ROI because you don't want to push it up if it's not converting, right? So the $90 was a rarity for me, where the majority of them stay around the $25 and so on like that. I think every one of my single age brackets was at the $5 range to really drive it home for me, and slow burn, getting lots of conversions and trying to push up where I can, but not trying to just focus on the budget, right? We're scaling out. We got lookalike audiences coming. That's the next step in the next video. You want to create a lookalike audience off your conversion pixel and really drive it home with what you can do in that possibility as well. So I hope this makes sense for you. Focus on finding winning demographics. If you can hit them on a deeper level as far as their ages, do it. So if you know that 25 to 54 convert, what can I do? I can split it out to 25 to 34, 35 to 54, or 44, and so on. And then I can even go down to the age level if a niche is big enough. You don't have to do that on a smaller niche. I recommend doing that to really get, in a granular detail if your niche is big enough. So let's see you in the next video where we talk about the lookalike audiences.